So what does it really mean to be mentally strong? It's not about just being tough or never showing emotion. Today, we're going to dive into this really powerful framework from psychotherapist Amy Morin's book, 13 Things Mentally Strong Women Don't Do. And here's the thing, her insights weren't just cooked up in a therapy office. They were literally forged in the fire of some profound personal loss.
Amy Morin's journey into what makes us mentally strong. Well, it didn't start as some academic research project. It was a personal quest for her own survival. As she says herself, the grief was overwhelming at times, but I knew experiencing painful emotions was part of the healing. So right away, you can see her whole understanding of resilience is rooted in actually navigating grief, not just pushing it away.
Imagine this. She's a new therapist, just starting out, armed with all this textbook knowledge. And then life hits her with a devastating blow. Her mother died, just suddenly. And that tragedy completely transformed her professional interest in mental strength into something deeply, deeply personal. And then, in just a cruel, unbelievable twist of fate, on the 3-year anniversary of her mother's passing, her husband Lincoln died of a heart attack. She was just 26 years old, a widow, facing a kind of grief that's almost impossible to imagine.
A few years go by, she finds love again, she remarries, and then adversity strikes one more time. Her new father-in-law gets a terminal cancer diagnosis. It was in that moment, staring down yet another loss, that she had this huge breakthrough realization. Building strength wasn't about what you do, it was about what you don't do.
So, her personal story, it's the bedrock of this entire quest for strength. But what's so fascinating is how this very personal journey taps into something we all feel.
And it turns out this need for more inner strength is pretty much universal. A Kellogg survey of 6,000 women found that a staggering 92% say inner strength is important to them. And get this, 82% wish they had more of it. So yeah, clearly, this is a conversation we're all ready to have. So the big question is, how do we build this mental muscle? Well, Morin's central idea is actually a little counterintuitive. She calls it the secret of subtraction. First off, what even is mental strength? It's not about being tough or bearing your emotions. Morin defines it as an ongoing practice. Think of it like a system with 3 parts: regulating your thoughts, managing your emotions, and then behaving productively no matter what life is throwing at you.
Okay, this is the crucial point right here. We usually think that to build strength, we have to add things, like a gratitude journal or meditation. And don't get me wrong, those things are great, but what Morin discovered is that the real key isn't just about what you do, it's about what you stop doing. Real lasting progress comes from getting rid of the bad habits that are secretly sabotaging all your hard work.
Morin has a perfect analogy that makes this crystal clear. She says, look, you can go to the gym and lift weights every single day, but if you go home and eat nothing but junk food, you're never going to see the results you want. Mental strength works the exact same way. You have to stop eating the mental junk food. So this whole framework breaks down into 3 parts that are all connected. First, you have your thoughts. That's your inner monologue. These thoughts then directly influence your feelings, which is how you experience your emotions. And then, of course, your feelings drive your behavior, the actions you actually take. It can be a vicious cycle that keeps you stuck, or, if you learn to manage it, a virtuous cycle that builds you up.
Okay, let's get specific and talk about one of the most common, most destructive bad habits Morin talks about, the comparison trap. There's a reason it's one of the first things she lists in our book.
And this is a question for all of us, really. I mean, let's be honest. In this world of social media, it is so easy to just scroll through this perfectly curated feed of everyone else's successes and feel like your own life just doesn't measure up. How often does that little voice pop into your head? So to show how this works, Morin tells the story of a woman named Kara. On paper, Kara's life looked perfect. She had a career she loved, a great relationship, good friends, she was even financially secure. But she was miserable because she was constantly measuring her own happiness against what she thought her friends were feeling. The big shift for Kara happened when she learned to reframe her thoughts. Instead of seeing life as some big competition, she started to see it as just a collection of different, equally valid paths. That simple change in her thinking, from better or worse to just different, was the key that unlocked contentment in her own life. So what does this mental junk food look like in practice? Well, it's turning everything into a competition. It's constantly judging yourself against what you see on social media. It's even looking down on others just to get a temporary mood boost. If you hear yourself using words like should, wish, or better a lot, that's a huge red flag that you've fallen into the comparison trap.
Okay, so how do we actually put all this into practice? Because, understanding these ideas is one thing, but the real goal is to actively build that mental muscle in our own lives.
And just remember, this advice isn't just theory. It's coming from Amy Morin, a licensed therapist who hasn't just studied this stuff professionally, she has lived it. She literally turned unimaginable tragedy into a powerful, actionable message that's helped millions of people.
So, if you only take one thing away from this explainer, please let it be this. Mental strength is not a fixed trait. It is not something you're either born with or you're not. It's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, it grows stronger with consistent practice, by managing your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and especially by giving up the habits that are holding you back.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly the most important question. This isn't just about learning something new, it's about doing something with it. So looking at this framework, which one unhealthy habit, whether it's comparison or maybe insisting on perfection or shying away from change, which one will you choose to start giving up starting today? Let us know your commitment in the comments below.